Welcome back, everybody. I think I'm getting in the habit of doing this about once a week or so. So hopefully I get this finished wrapped up today. It'll be 7 days, and then 7 days from now there'll be another one. But it's probably not going to be consistent like that. As you can see, we are currently dealing with winter. Snow has came, and it's all over the place. So I was gonna struggle to do like show off the other stuff, but I just felt like maybe instead of dealing with, I feel like it would look better without the snow involved. So I'm gonna wait till spring or at least till the snow melts this next time to show off some of the other stuff in the industrial side. So I figured now would be a good time to jump on something that I believe it was Full Circle Stories made a comment about on the Brinery video, asking about this construction over here. I made the joke that if a finished build is a building, then this is a buildant because it's not ever going to be done. It's just a permanent construction site to make the place feel like it's alive, like it's ongoing, like it is under construction. Because I am just having different buildings pop up and everything, but this right here gives the idea of under construction and growing some mental permanence if you were to just be walking around here. It is between the factory and the orchard, which still has not popped its leaves back up. Leaves back up, excuse me. I feel like that's a nice little buffer along with the stone and cypress trees over there. Just as a nice border between the industrial area and the orchard, winery, farmland that we got going on behind me here. With all that being said, I'm really not sure how to approach this because it's really not a build. It's like you can make anything look like it's under construction. There's just several different ways to go about it. I used to build houses. Some of this here is anachronistic with how it would be done back in the day. Some of it is also kind of wrong with how modern houses are built because, like for instance, your footer, your concrete base would already be 100% done before you ever started framing anything up here. So just take that with a grain of salt. It's not really about being realistic. It's about appearing realistic as you're walking around here. Now, obviously, if you start looking too closely, things start falling apart. But it's a block game, and it's really just my own personal world here that I'm showing off. But like, if you're doing this for RPG server or other world building purposes, like these concepts apply outside of block games, mind you. But just keep these things in mind for your world building because environmental storytelling is something that your body, like your mind, reads that story whether you're aware you're doing it or not. Like it's not the same as text on a page or whatever. It's not the same thing as somebody narrating something to you. Like your brain as an animal is picking up on context clues all around you all the time. So when you're making a set piece, which is what a building game is, you're making a constant evolving set piece that you in survival games anyway get to survive in. These set pieces have to be grounded. They have to have seams that are sealed, bolts that are bolted together, and the more into that you go, the more realistic it looks. And eventually, it's kind of like peeling back layers of an onion, like or coats of paint. Let's stick with the paint, like paints on a wall. Like you want to see what's behind the facade. Like you got this veneer, and you peel that back. Like okay, well they painted that too. You peel that back. Oh, well they even painted. How many layers deep of paint does your facsimile for this narrative? How many layers deep does it go? I stopped digging in science fiction and fantasy after they've explained enough of a concept to me. Like, oh well, yeah, that seems pretty grounded. I can buy that. I can suspend my disbelief long enough to adhere to the physics of this setting. And so when you're in a game like Minecraft or Hytale or Vintage Story, and you're building these pieces for other people to be in, a lot of the things that I'm doing here, although they don't apply to me because this is my own world, these things will apply heavily to you because having a construction site, for example, with the video in a town, like the background work in a person's brain is already being done for you as a storyteller by having a construction site. Because a lot of the rest of it is just making connections, filling in gaps, making assumptions. Because the brain is trying to create a story itself. So you can save yourself a lot of effort with having to tell people simply by showing. And I feel like having a construction site or a couple of different construction sites in a place that you want to simulate growth and expansion and development is probably just the best straightforward way to go about it. The same way if it was like a trading place, you'd want to have carts and stalls and crates strewn all over the place. Context clues are absolutely crucial. With all that ranting out of the way, let's get into some more ranting, which is just typical for my videos. We're going to start down here. Again, this is like a buffer zone between the industry and the rural area. As you can see, I have all kinds of implied plumbing with some kind of irrigation network and stuff set up. And so I wanted the house or building, whatever the structure is going to be, to connect to that. So we have an, a manhole cover access hatch port here with some construction caution cones, a rope ladder just for like support or rigging or something. Maybe it's just tools. The implication is there. There's a shovel with some dirt, and then there's the chute pieces to make it look like it's copper piping that is coming up from over here, and the water would be pumped up through this thing where this is like the access point where it would be managed for this structure. And then underneath all this dirt is supposedly more pipe that will connect to the house itself, or the structure itself, rather. Out here is kind of a staging ground where materials are deposited before they are assigned to where they're supposed to be going. So you have shingles with an empty pallet. I did the pallet look by just having 3 boards put down, and then it looks like these shingles are sitting on wooden pallets. Same thing for these bricks, except I have a stack of boards next to it and a crate. There's this nice retaining wall right here just to kind of keep everything from falling down. Maybe this will be concreted up in part of the actual structure itself. There is also a retaining wall down here. This one is more temporary looking because it's designed to keep debris and trash and rock and stuff from coming down the hill, or from mud slides happening during rainstorms. You typically see these done in modern days with like those orange caution plastic netting, or maybe even the plastic trash bag looking wraps that go from stick to stick around a property. But this was my colonial, archaic in-game way to do that without, doing a bunch of hellacious chiseling. I did chisel a wheelbarrow here. Wheelbarrow. Yeah, that's right. That was a hard one, fellas, let me tell you. It's a little bit anachronistic because they only started making them like this, I believe, late 19th, early 20th century. Before they had several different appearances before then. But I figured since I knew how to make one like this, I'd go ahead and make one, and plus it just visually communicates that to a modern audience that this is a wheelbarrow. Now, it doesn't have a tire. This would just be like a wooden wheel or something, but I did want it to be a darker color. However, now that I'm looking at it, it does kind of look like an actual fucking tire. But I digress. Over here, there's tables. These are saw horses holding up some lumber, some chests, some planks sitting here, a saw, tools on a table, crates, a hammer. This used to have rope attached to it to make it look like it was tethered, or maybe you could, depending on how advanced we are, it could be electricity or something. But the ropes have despawned. So just keep that in mind if you're trying to connect ropes on fences. For some reason, they will despawn eventually. I don't think it has anything to do with relogging or reloading a chunk. I have no idea what the stipulations are. Sometimes they just despawn. And again, we have a bit of out of order building here because this footer is not yet finished, but the retaining walls are chiseled, and there's a little bit of like the base of the footer is down there, but obviously the rest of this needs to be filled up with concrete, which is what is happening here. This is the manufacture of concrete that I believe is gray dye, that is diluted borax, and that's just water. And then right here is, I'm not sure if that's mortar or if that's blue clay that I have in a barrel. And then maybe this is a sift or something, but really it's just a washboard. Of course, there is a sieve in here, so you could do that. There's also pans, so that's something else you could throw around to give you that feel. Some bolts in the side to make it look like these things are held together. Of course, maybe in retrospect, I should have put them lower. I'm not really sure. I think I like it. I used bauxite cobbled bauxite, or bauxite cobblestone, however the fuck you want to say it, to chisel some safety rope. A little bit of tongue-in-cheek there because it is anachronistic, and I just used a condenser to make it look like, we're making concrete here. and this some rope, bricks, all this wraps around to make it look like we're about to go ham on this thing. And if you look in here, you can see where we have dug this out. Another shovel, some dirt, a ladder going up. This is the inside water access. You can see there's plumbing coming out of that and going up. You can see I have the uh, joists of the floor right there, and then also some scaffolding, which I'll show you more on that here in just a second. But if we come around over here, you know what? No, I'll show the scaffolding first. Fuck it. You see the scaffolding? It's all the same piece. I just copy and pasted it. I wish this game had a scaffolding block, which is what I would have used instead. But I went ahead and custom chiseled me one, and then now when I want a scaffolding look, I just put this motherfucker in there. Rope ladder for more stuff, and then the actual ladder just looks more structural. I like the idea of having things hanging off of stuff. It's more of that noise concept. Makes it seem less boring, and it breaks up the flatness of what you tend to get with, voxel-based building games, block games, because, blocks are fucking flat. So putting stuff on top of it, like these nuts or bolts or whatever, and then the fence, gives it texture. It's like the greeblies on the side of the Star Wars ship models. We have them connected together. I could have did this differently, but I wanted a modular look, so it's just a bunch of these stacked up, and I tried to replicate what you'd actually see with scaffolding. And so back on the job sites I used to do, we would often just have a board that we'd run along to connect two scaffolding pieces, and we've duplicated that up here to be a bit longer where the ladder connects, just to break up having the scaffolding connect laterally. I think this is a lot neater looking. Plus it gave me room to put these ropes, which aren't really doing anything, but it looks like they're holding stuff together, or maybe acting as guides, leveling devices, what have you. There's no ladder on this side, but you can climb up from here, get off here to walk across there, climb up there, and you can climb up here. Funnily enough, I'll go ahead and talk about that while I'm right here. All this was I wanted a staircase that gave me access to this upper level of the orchard, this level of the orchard, and then also connected me up here to the factory. But I didn't want to go all out building a thing. I was like, do I put a tower here? Is this going to be some kind of gatehouse? Like, what? I had no idea how to approach this staircase. So ultimately, I ended up just making it permanently under construction, and I felt like that was a good way, because if you was coming up here, you wouldn't even think about this staircase. Like why is this staircase hidden in this building or anything? Like, there's a staircase that lets you get through. Like, oh well, while I'm coming up here, I'm also going through a construction site. I myself would not even question this at first. Now that I've stared at it here for 15 minutes, now well, why the fuck does that go up through this person's house? Well, maybe it's their entry room. Maybe it's an open air porch. I don't know. Sue me. But I really just did not want to build another towering structure here. I didn't want to just build a roofed cube around a staircase for no reason. So this just seemed like a fun, interesting, although far more difficult way to decorate this spot. And like I said, now it functions as a nice buffer, border between industry and agriculture. Lantern right there to keep things lit up. You can see there's more of the retaining wall that is implied to be being broken apart. That's why I used the boards laying down, and then I chiseled that wall onto, I think this is blue daub. Not blue daub. Ashen daub? Some kind of daub. Some kind of daub is what that is. And then it just wraps around. Here's a construction spot. And really, accessing the construction zone is from right here. You'd come up these ladders, come up this staircase. But if you're over here by the factory, which I've also implied to still be kind of under construction, I think maybe I'm regretting using these colors for the framing of the building while also using those colors for the scaffolding. So I may end up taking the scaffolding down from the factory and keeping the construction look focused only on that, and then using these scaffolding pieces somewhere else that doesn't have this embellishment on it. Because, it looks like it's the same fucking thing. It's kind of bothering me. But I digress. Anyway, we come over here. You'd come up these steps. Drop down here and come into the storage building, which I've shown off in the initial tour. And this is where you'd access whatever this building is. Maybe it's where the overseer of the orchard lives, because I do have it kind of set up like a house. But there's just a stool, an abacus, a sawhorse that I chiseled, some more boards, rope, bucket of nails, nails on the ground to make that connection, some more tools. The plumb and square I thought really neat sitting there. That rhymed. Tools hanging on the wall, chisel, hammer, knife, saw, the works. A chimney that is finished because it's part of the foundation and the brickwork that goes into it. I figured that would just be one of the things that gets done first, and then they'd come in and do all the detailing and finishing kind of around that. Another ladder to get up to the roof. Over here we have some logs laying here, buckets, ropes, crates. Maybe these are blueprints. Maybe these are old tools. Maybe these are just, I don't know, whatever you want it to be. It's a box of tools sitting there. It can be a box of tools sitting there, wherever you want it to be. I think this is hardened glue I have sitting there. Shelf of tools. This I believe is just a small crate or a medium crate of junk, which could be whatever. Maybe this is a newspaper. Maybe it's more blueprints, but it is just, I believe, a white saddle blanket rolled up there. Another bucket, another rope. Over here we have what I've used creative, but I got the wagon wheels and a broken, whatever the fuck that thing is. I can't remember what they're called now, but the thing that you put your head and your arms through and you get tomatoes thrown at you. I put one of them there, and then used the beams to make it look like maybe this was a crane or a winch of sorts. And then there's some rope sitting around, and then these chiseled rope pieces that I have kind of holding everything together. You can see the scaffolding again right here from this side. And if we jump up here, oh, I can't believe I made it. More joists or rafters. I believe these are beams, so if I was to walk across this, I believe I would 100% fall through. But here is another post that is... When I was building houses, we would have random posts around and braced into other parts of the house or the floor to kind of hold things up until we finally got everything attached the way it's supposed to be. And so this is kind of just implied to be that, as well as those. These would all be cut down or even taken down entirely once this roof was finished. And I felt like these rafters, these trusses here are done pretty good. Let me fly a little bit here, show them off some more. That one's having a lighting glitch for some reason. I guess because it's technically going into the chimney right there, so the whole thing is shadowed. But other than that, I'm pretty content. See that one side is done more than the other, and once this other side is all the way finished, then you take these supports down, and you can see where the inside is kind of supported by a middle beam and also by 45-degree trusses or braces or whatever underneath. So I wanted it to look complicated, but I also wanted it to look structurally sound. And these are actually just health hammer supports that I have placed onto heavily custom chiseled blocks, and that's how we get that 45-degree angle. So neat. And then I just take oak beams and framed them out. You can see where I've also framed this edge here, where this would look like a spot where you'd nail other boards onto it versus just being a solid hunk of wood, because solid hunks of wood are hard to move. Most houses are going to be, at least in America, houses are lightweight wooden stick frame construction. Now, I believe if you were in like Germany or somewhere, a lot of this would be really thick brick, at least for the first 2 floors, and then the top would be, I'm pretty sure, solid fucking timber. They might use plaster. I'm not real certain now. You can see here I've got some of the framing being boarded up, like they're finishing the walls, and you can see there's a nail right here sticking out. At least that's the implication. And then here's more studs for the panels to be nailed to. And you can see a nail head right there, a nail head right there. Just tiny little details. Like, no one probably ever noticed that. But if you're doing shit like this and you just want to cover all your bases, dot all your I's, mind your P's and Q's, stuff like this, when someone's walking around, they notice it, it tends to be memorable. Like, holy shit, they even put a nail in the side of that motherfucker. You're right, I did. More rope. I put some chalk writing, just like guys, like, don't do that, don't do that. Whatever this means up there, just implication. Because using a pencil and markers and stuff, you'd see all kinds of scribbles, work-related and inappropriate alike, all over the job site. Blowing the house down, I don't know, some kind of warning, implication. And that says to look up there. So you can check out the roofing. You can see the studs on each side. This one is more boarded up than that side. You can see the joists of the floor with doing a pine wood flooring. You can see how I have them um, broken up on different intervals to look like they're being laid together at like puzzle pieces, like most flooring. I think a lot of flooring today is like linoleum or vinyl pieces, and they kind of just stick together like puzzle pieces. But you can do this with full wooden slats as well. I believe that's what they used to do before they started making the fake ass vinyl. And then here's some more stuff just sitting there. I believe this is a wooden. That's not a wooden path. It's some kind of clutter. And then this is a trough, and that's a board. And then there's a lantern just to give some light in here. And then more beams for support. Maybe this is more of the flooring. Maybe a staircase is going to go here. But you get up here, and then now you have kind of like where the kitchen is being framed out. Maybe this is a countertop. This is maybe where the sink goes because there's a copper faucet going through and coming out of the walls and everything. And then here's your custom fire pit. So I really did have fun doing this, all the minor intricate details to make it look like it's being built. But it would have been way easier on me psychologically and labor speaking to have just built a fucking house here. But I like this. I think it's a nice bit of storytelling. It's something a lot of people, at least I have not seen them do in Vintage Story. And although you'll see construction sites in Minecraft village, town, city builds, the level of detail you can get with Vintage Story without even modding the motherfucker, like you couldn't do this in Minecraft. You couldn't. You might get something close to like, as a facsimile, but the fact that I could get so close to replicating the pipework of a house under construction and the framing of the furniture and like all this, you couldn't do this level, this minutia of detail in Minecraft or even Hytale, as cool as Hytale's like building system is. So really, and to sum it up, I think Vintage Story is the best place to do like custom RPG worlds and stuff like that. Those servers are immaculate, and if you want to have stuff like this, or you want to have like immersive things in your world, you should put stuff like this in it. I am not trying to toot my own horn and say this is fucking awesome, or I did it the best, or this is the way the house is built, or any of that nonsense, but maybe you didn't think to do this, or maybe you wouldn't have thought to do it that way, and maybe now because you've seen how I do it, you can think of an entirely new, fresh approach to convey the idea of a construction site to whoever your viewership is going to be. But I thought this would be a nice, and I say quick, but I mean, it's still probably 15 minutes now. I have no fucking idea. A nice, quick-ish little rant video just to go over something to try to stick to the weekly output, for the algorithm's sake and for y'all's sake to, keep y'all interested and give y'all some inspiration that you might not have otherwise come across. I don't know what the next video is going to be at all. I might try to do the brick kiln and all that stuff over there. I'm really not sure. I may go ahead and cover the farmland, animal houses and stuff in a solid, in-depth run through. Really not sure. If you have opinions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to continue to go with the flow. Again, thank you all so much. You're very loved and appreciated. Like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. Every single one of y'all have been absolutely wonderful. I'm up to 230 subscribers. I've had more success nonchalantly doing these videos in one take than I have, putting hours of effort into editing previous videos like with Tarkov and Foxhole and all that back when I was trying to do something with YouTube. So I'm glad this content resonates with all of you, and I'm glad I have found like-minded and like-interested people. All of y'all are really creative. All of y'all are really supportive. And if you're finding the content here on YouTube enjoyable and you like seeing the Vintage Story stuff, you should go check out the Reddit. Because there's people who aren't inclined to, like, I'm not really inclined, I just decided to, but like there's people who don't make content, but they play the fuck out of this game and they will take a screenshot and share it. You should go check those people out too. Highly recommend it. You'll get hellacious inspiration from it. In the meantime, stay safe, stay optimistic, stay happy, try to keep healthy. Times are tough all over the world these days, especially depending on what country you call home, but I promise you, humanity will prevail. We will. We always have, and we always will. So, peace to all, love to all. You guys have been so great. I think I've said goodbye long enough, but I am from the Midwest, so these tend to take forever anyway. Until next time.